Now. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Swinging for the Fences. This is episode one of my new show series. It's called State of the Stripes. We're joined here with Billy the Bat Boy, first official guest on the show. Billy, how we doing today?
I'm doing good. It's an honor to be the first guest on the show. Man, all the people you could have found, and you have Billy the Bat Boy on, that's an honor.
Had to. So good day to be a Yankee fan coming off last night's win. The captain, Aaron Judge, walking it off with a sac fly. Great slide at home plate by Volpe to avoid the tag. Give me some takeaways from that three-game sweep over the Seattle Mariners.
Well, the first takeaway is that I'm happy you had me on after a sweep like that and a
Yeah,
performance like that by the Yankees. Better than a few days ago when they were in a bit of a rut there. But no,
yeah,
it's great to see. I feel like in baseball, you're going to have those moments where guys aren't really firing on all cylinders. And with this Yankees squad, especially over the past few days, it seemed like every facet of their team were doing really well. You had guys who were hitting and situationally hitting in great spots, very important at bats were had, and they were able to get the job done. The pitching did well as well. So things like that are what makes championship caliber teams work. Especially as you approach the playoffs, that's what you want to see when you go to the playoffs. So we want to see this team, this kind of team where things are working out in your favor. You're able to get that runner in. You're able to pitch deeper into games. You want to see that as you move forward into the playoffs. Hopefully, we don't see too much more of what we saw last week
yeah.
later in the season.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this three-game sweep is sort of a momentum change to get some guys going. I'll shout out Austin Wells. He's been on a hot streak. I know it was an artery issue in his hand, so he missed a few games. But since coming back, I mean, he's been on fire. He got the big hit last night, the big go-ahead two-run single to tie the game at five. I mean, that was huge. And I kind of noticed he changed his stance up a little bit. He used to have his hands way up high, but now they're kind of closer to his shoulder. So I don't know if that has a little bit of an effect, but three homers in a row for him. He had that streak going on. He's been a big part for the Dubs. So if we could get him going, have him strengthen that bottom third of the order, because I feel like the top's fine. Everyone's doing good, but you can't have that fall off. When it gets to seven, eight, nine, can't have that sort of fall off of production. So to have Wells going like this, it sort of moves the chain. It passes the baton back to those guys, which starts to fire up the offense, which is what they were missing in that rough patch.
That's certainly it. You look at guys too like Peraza and Volpe, if they can start to increase their production offensively as well, man, you're looking pretty good. You're looking really good there. And you have a full offense of guys, a full lineup where you can expect somebody to get on base, somebody to get a hit. And especially with Peraza and Volpe getting on base, they're speed threats too. You
Yeah.
want those guys on base and then turn the lineup over to a guy like Dominguez or anybody else who has a bit of speed at the top of that lineup. That's what you want to see. And hopefully we're going to continue to get a couple more guys back from injury. It's unfortunate what happened to Clark Schmidt. He's
Yeah.
undergoing Tommy John surgery this week. So it is what it is, right? That's baseball. And you have to find ways to improve your squad. I'm sure Cashman will be making quite a few moves at the deadline. I feel like it'll be maybe one of the more active deadlines that you'll see from the Yankees in a while
Yeah.
because you can't go to the World Series and then the next year just realize, you know what, maybe we won't push for it again. Man, you got to be motivated to push for that World Series again and make sure your squad is able to be in the best position possible to handle the kind of opposition you'll face in the playoffs. So we'll see who that will be eventually. The Blue Jays, of course, are a couple games up still, but
Yeah.
it seems like the Yankees, though, will, I think, retain that spot. They'll regain that spot in the next week or so, I think, and we'll see. It's a game of baseball. It's a game that's so uncertain. So many things are happening, and it could just take a little cold streak, cold spell for either team for one of them to really jump up or go down.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about Jason Dominguez. So going into this season, the biggest hole the team has had for maybe the past 5 years has been a left fielder and a leadoff hitter. And now you got Jason Dominguez who's filling both of those roles. He's been on fire. He's been one of the best offensive performers in this lineup, and I think it's crucial to keep him in that leadoff spot. He's a five-tool player. His average is now just about at that 270 mark, which is really great because he was sitting around like 220, 230 at the beginning of the season, got on that hot streak, rode it, and now he's at that level that we all hoped for when he was a prospect coming up, the Martian, the chosen one. He's starting to reveal his true colors, and we're finally starting to see that Jason Dominguez that we all had hoped for the past few years when he was developing in the minor leagues.
Absolutely. He's got a great attitude. It seems like the guys love him in there as well. I feel like his defense will continue to improve. I feel like that's an area that he needs to continue to focus on. But offensively, man, that's what you want to see. The hustle that he brings. He's
Hmm.
rounding those bases very strongly, able to score on a single or it was a score from first.
Yeah.
Very, very efficiently. And that's what you want to see. You want to see that athleticism. You want to see that kind of versatility. And the Yankees have more of that, I think, more than ever before. I mean, I don't remember a time when they had guys who were this fast and were able to score on simple base hits. That's what you want to see in a club. And you think back years ago when they didn't really have that, where they had a primarily righty, bulky lineup that
Yeah.
struck out so much that couldn't really score on a double. I mean that it was tough to see. So right now, I feel like they're in a really good spot, and a guy like Dominguez enhances that offense.
Yeah, I definitely think when they were in that kind of cold stretch, I didn't think that it was over per se because I always saw the pieces were there. They always had the talent there, but now it's sort of just working now. You got Dominguez firing. Yeah, Judge is always going to be there, but guys like Bellinger, guys like Jazz, now that you have them playing at their best, now you're going to start to see the wins coming through. Now you're going to start to see the runs come across. That's going to change the team. It was basically just a mid-season slump.
Sure.
That's all I think it was with those few series against the Mets. The Blue Jays one was awful, but I think they're coming out of it. I see the guys start to hit. I mean, Bellinger, he's been on fire. He might be the most unsung hero in the American League. Like he's so underrated. Like I don't get what it is. What's it now? A 15 game hitting streak that Cody Bellinger is riding right now?
Yeah,
That's
it's it's
great right
it's
there.
it's great to see. And he was essentially Soto's replacement, and
Yeah.
they've done a really good job doing what they could to replace him. He's a tough guy to replace, and they've done a great job with it. So it's great to see. I feel like even guys like Goldschmidt are such an
Yeah.
underrated acquisition, providing some veteran leadership in that clubhouse. It seems like the guys they've meshed pretty well together, and that's what you want to see as they continue to move forward. Yes, some of the weaknesses were exposed over the past couple weeks. Some defensive mistakes, baseball IQ mistakes, things that you
Mm,
really don't want to see that kind of haunted the Yankees last year, especially in the World Series. But hopefully they're able to work through some of those things this year. And then by the time we continue to move into the month of September, things really start to shape up really strongly and they're able to learn from those mistakes this past couple weeks.
Now, I definitely think it's eminent that a few moves need to be made. You need to bring in a few new guys. So, as the trade deadline is approaching, who would you like to see Brian Cashman go out there and make a move for?
Yeah, well, we've heard a lot about Suarez,
Hmm.
Eugenio Suarez. I feel like he's a good guy, someone who would fit in well with the organization, a guy who could play a solid third base. So I wouldn't mind seeing a guy like him come over here. They definitely want to look at a third baseman. They want to look at a righty bat, and they want to look at probably a starting pitcher or a reliever. I would definitely like to see a lefty reliever, a solid lefty,
Mm,
because Tim Hill's great, but man, you can't continue to throw him out there every single day. Obviously they have the bullpen budget. They know what guys are available what days, but as you continue to go into the month of August, the month of September, it could be taxing to
yeah.
run out there a lot. And you want to make sure that there's another lefty in that pen who can also be put in those situations to face lefties and even get righties out if they're able to have reverse splits like that. So I would like to see a lefty reliever. I think we'll get a couple guys back from the injured list. I feel like we'll see Cruz back soon, and hopefully Loizaga tightens things up a little bit. And then you have Heel as
Yeah.
well around the corner. He might be your starting pitcher acquisition in a way, right? Whenever you have an injury and they come back mid-year, it's like your team's bolstered
Yeah.
because of the guy returning because you didn't have him all year. So it would be nice to see probably another pitcher or so join the team, and then probably a hitter, and
Yeah.
we'll see what they do. But look, you got guys like Cam Schlittler who did a fantastic job in his debut. You'll have surprises like that, guys who come up and are able to take advantage of the opportunity that they have. And I always love giving opportunities to the young guys. You never know what they're able to do, and they might impress you.
Yeah, because definitely Schindler, he looked great.
Yeah,
I mean, he really did. Going through a tough lineup in the Seattle Mariners and just carving them up, he throws gas. So I definitely see the potential. Definitely, I think Matt Blake could turn this guy into a fantastic starting pitcher. He's young, he has some years under control, so he has that time. I could see it happening, him developing into this quality starter. I mean, he could be a big part of the playoffs. He
absolutely.
really could. He could be this guy who starts maybe a game three or a game four, because especially with Clark Schmidt going down, I mean, that was a huge blow.
Yeah,
It really was. So he kind of was forced into the rotation. He took it really well, though. I mean, what a great debut for the righty. So hopefully he can continue that momentum. Then you get Luis Heel back. Now your rotation's not looking that bad at all. You got
sure.
Max Fried, the ace. You got Carlos Rodon in the two, who's had a fantastic year. A few bumpy starts here or there, but that's always expected with a long season. In the three spot, you probably got a guy like Stroman or Slidler. So you got four solid starters plus Luis Heel coming back. That's a solid rotation moving into the playoffs. And then maybe you move a guy like Stroman or maybe Schlidler to the bullpen. I didn't even mention Will Warren yet, so he's in that mix too. You add a starter to the rotation. That's a good pitching staff. That is a quality staff. And I do think moving a guy like Will Warren or Cam Schlidler, one of the two, into the pen just for the season, kind of do what you did with Clark Schmidt back in 2021, where because you have a surplus of arms. There's been big injuries like Cole and Heel and Schmidt, but you still have a surplus of arms. So you got to move a few guys to the bullpen. I don't really know if Strowman's going to take it well. That's the big thing. So maybe you put a guy like Schlidler in there to develop. You put him in there. You maybe put Will Warren in there because I really see a lot of potential in those two guys, Cam Schlidler and Will Warren. They got electric stuff, great swing and miss stuff too from those two. So maybe put them in the bullpen because you're going to need to. When Heel comes back, someone's going to need to go. That's what I'm trying to get at. Someone's going to need to go to the bullpen. It sucks, but if Stroman's not going to budge, I think maybe you move a guy like Schlidler in there, have him develop because the bullpen needs another guy. You
Mhm.
said it. I know they're not lefties, but you just need another guy in the bullpen because Leiter's out. We don't know for how much longer. Maybe a few more weeks or so. Fernando Cruz is out for about the same amount of time. So you're gonna need someone to hold the fort down in the bullpen. So what do you think about moving a guy like maybe Will Warren or Cam Schlidler into the pen?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I feel like we'll probably have to see how it plays out. I remember one conversation we had, we were trying to figure out how the rotation would look, how it would shape
Yeah,
up, who would be the one guy out of the rotation because they had too many guys. And then there was an injury. So
yeah,
things like this, it's so hard to predict. If you were to say right now, what would you do? I'd say probably Schlittler because he's
yeah,
the youngest guy, he's the rookie, and I don't think you could move a guy like Will Warren into that role because he's earned a spot to continue to pitch in that rotation, I'd say. So we'll see. But plus, Schlittler also throws very hard, so he would be a
bullpen
natural
piece.
arm to come
Yeah,
out of the bullpen. He'd be a pretty dynamic arm coming out of that pen. So we'll see. If it comes to the point where in the playoffs you do have to do that, I'd be interested to see how it plays out. But you never know. I think if you take a guy like Stroman, who's on the back end of his career, would you rather him be in that rotation compared to a guy like Schlittler, who might be maybe more effective,
yeah.
but he doesn't have that kind of status at the big league level right now?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm definitely pro putting Stroman in the bullpen. Like that would definitely be my first move. But the thing is, Stroman's not going to take that well, I don't think. We've been down that road before, so maybe you look at it as that's a guy you could trade. That's a tradable piece right there, Marcus Stroman. I don't know how many teams would be willing to take him, but he hasn't done terrible since coming off the IL. He's basically been giving you 5 innings, 2 to 3 runs, so not too bad. It hasn't been all downhill. He's obviously proven he could still pitch at the big league level. So maybe he's the piece. He's one of the pieces you trade off for Eugenio Suarez or for a lefty reliever. And then maybe you hope that Cam Schindler could keep it going in the rotation because I agree with you. Will Warren probably not the guy to move to the bullpen just because it would be such a sudden change for him.
Mhm.
Because if you do it like say in a week or two when Luis Heel comes back, Cam Schindler's what gonna have 3 starts under his belt when Warren's gonna have the full season
Right.
of starts. So I think it's definitely, and like you said, he throws gas. So he definitely fits the mold for a reliever just for this season. I'm saying, I'm not saying you weave him into a reliever full time, but just for him to develop, get some innings under his belt. And of course, that's only if you don't trade Stroman. If you do, you're going to put the pressure on Schindler because he's going to need to be the fifth guy in that rotation.
Mm. It seems like too the Yankees were looking at Zach Gallen from the
Mm,
backs as well. Maybe that's another piece in that trade with Suarez, and
yeah.
that could potentially be a starting pitcher swap included in there as well. So maybe they trade one of their starters in order to grab him and Suarez. We'll see how that plays out, but it'll definitely play out sooner than later.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of Zach Allen. I know the numbers aren't great, but I have been following him along. His last 2 starts, he's been lights out. So he's kind of getting back to the Zach Allen we used to know, coming off an injury in the last season. So he's still working his way back, but the trend is going up for Zach Allen, which is what I'm trying to say. So maybe he's getting back to his old self, and I would sign me up for that. I would love to see Zach Gallen in pinstripes plus Suarez, and then maybe go out to shop for a lefty reliever.
That sounds
That's
good.
great right there.
That sounds pretty good to me. I
You're
wouldn't be
you're
surprised.
fixing the team up so much right there. You're filling all the holes. And then you look at the infield, you would have Woes at the backstop, Goldie at first, Jazz would move back to his natural position, which is second base, Volpe at short, and then Suarez at third. That's a really good infield.
Yeah, no, it's solid right there. I like it. In defensively, it's probably the best defense you can have, the best
Yeah.
alignment. The Yankees have played a lot of guys out of position due to different reasons, right? DJ really couldn't play third because of his mobility,
Yeah.
his reaction time. It was tough, and with having you had to DFA him because you'd be in a tough spot if you had a pinch hit for a guy like Peraza or somebody who, and then you have all of a sudden DJ playing third or somebody has to play third, right? So it was a tricky situation. You want to make sure the versatility is there and you're
hmm
able to make those moves if needed.
Yeah, so I think the top of the list should be getting a third base, primarily an offense first guy. Like I've seen names like a Brian Hayes be tossed around. I don't think he's the best fit for the Bronx only because his bat really isn't there. He might be the best defensive third baseman in the game right now. I mean, he's gross at the hot corner with the glove, but do we really? I think the Yankees really need a bat over a glove right now. Just someone to fit into that middle of the order. Maybe you would pencil Suarez into that 5 or that 6 hole, and then the lineup just moves so much more fluidly when opposed to a guy like a Brian Hayes who you would have at that maybe the 9 hole or the 8 hole. It doesn't really make too much sense because you're really getting the same amount of production as a guy like Peraza. So I don't really see the vision of getting a guy like a Brian Hayes. I'm pro Suarez though. That's my guy who I want. And maybe you throw in a guy in there like Zach Allen to improve the rotation as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think those would be two guys who would improve the squad. I think at the end of the day, you think about how can you improve the team? What trade pieces are out there that you can look into and make sure that what you're giving up isn't something that is going to break the bank or break the prospect bank that you have in the system. I'm sure the Yankees will have to give up some prospects, and a lot of times it's better off for those prospects that you do trade them because
Yeah.
they're not going to have a true path to the pinstripes due to how jammed up everything is when you have an overabundance of certain positions and too many guys in those spots. It's better off to sometimes trade them, give them an opportunity to play at the big league level and also give your team the opportunity to acquire some great talent to fill some holes.
Yeah, so the last thing we're going to touch on in today's episode, last night, Jazz Chisholm announced that he's going to be in the home run derby. What are your thoughts on this? I know sometimes you got a guy going into the home run derby, all he's thinking about is hitting long balls, drops his back shoulder, kind of starts to mess up his swing. What are your thoughts? You think Chisholm's going to fall into that trap or he's going to stay true to himself?
I really hope not, man. And I thought about this a lot because you think about Robbie Cano back in the day, and
Mm,
nothing good comes from it. It seems like it's a fun night to watch because you get to see one of your guys on your team perform in the Derby and maybe even win. You never know what happens. But afterwards, you never know what kind of injury there might be if he's, pulling off too much, and then all of a sudden there's something gets tweaked a bit. He's
yeah.
had a couple, injuries this year, so you don't want him to re-aggravate anything because he's swinging too much in a short amount of time. And then you think about the swing, right? You think about the mechanics and if that'll be thrown off a little bit. Time will tell. Some guys do completely fine with it and they don't really change much and they have the same approach as they would when they're actually playing. And then some guys just go crazy and start dropping that back shoulder, start going nuts. And next thing you know, they're off track for a whole month. So we don't want to see Jazz struggling in the month of August after this is over. But we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping that he'll have a good time. It'll be a fun way to represent the Yankees, and it'll be an interesting way to just root on one of your guys who's playing in the Midsummer Classic. So we'll see what happens. What's your take on it?
I think Jazz is a showman. I
Yeah.
think that's his big thing. I think he's going to go all out, which he should rightfully so. I mean, you're in the Derby to win it. You're not just in it to sit pretty and look cool. So I definitely think he's going to go all out. He's going to try and swag. He's going to try and look cool. I'm just hoping because the streak he's on right now, he's been on fire. He's been so good for the Yankees since coming back off the IL for like the past month and a half. This hasn't been like a little week of good hitting. This has been a while now that Jazz Chisholm has been hitting at this level. I don't want to see that go away because it's been so beneficial for the Yankees. He's been getting the big knocks. He's
Yeah.
been the guy coming up clutch. I don't want that to be taken away. And like you said, he's been hurt a few times this season. Definitely don't want him to retweak something. So I'm hopeful that nothing happens. I'm hopeful that it's smooth sailing. Hopefully he has a fun time, hits a few bombs, but definitely don't want him to ruin all the progress he's made since coming off the IL. But that's my take on it.
Yeah. We'll see. He's got to be careful, and hopefully we'll find out right after the Derby's over. He's got to continue that streak. Keep it going.
Yeah, and we're finding out soon because the All-Star break is like 3 games this year. It's not that long at all, so it's not really much of a break either. Like,
Oh, no. When you think of an all-star break, you think, man, maybe it's a week, it's
yeah,
like long, it's a break. But this break to these guys, man, if they were to go home to see their family too or something, there's really no break.
yeah, not at all. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's all we got for today. Episode 1 of State of the Stripes, officially in the book with our guest, Billy the Bat Boy. Billy, thanks for coming on, doing the show. It was a great one.
Thank you, George. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, man. I'm going to stop the recording.